Protecting Patrick Mahomes isn't just a priority for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a mission. And it's one the front office cannot afford to fumble. Let's not sugarcoat it. Over the past 4 seasons, Mahomes has been hit, hurried, and sacked far too often. From 2018 through 2020, his protection was tight, efficient, and dominant. But lately, the pressure has been mounting. Literally, Mahomes has taken at least 26 sacks in each of the past 4 regular seasons, and last year in the postseason, he was sacked a league-high 11 times. 11 times in games that matter the most. This isn't just a stat, it's a warning sign. And the front office knows it. That's why most mock drafts are laser focused on the trenches when it comes to Kansas City's first round pick at number 31. Even after signing Jalen Moore in free agency, the need at left tackle still looms large. Moore has potential, sure, but he's unproven as a full-time blindside protector, and Mahomes deserves more than maybe. Enter Armand Membo, a name that's rising on big boards across the league, and for good reason. CBS Sports Emory. Hunt has the Chiefs landing the athletic Missouri tackle at number 31, bypassing defensive needs in favor of raw offensive line talent that could pay off in spades. I decided to shy away from defensive line for the Chiefs in favor of an athletic lineman with upside in Membo, Hunt explains. There's some fine-tuning necessary to his game, but he's put more than enough on film to go in round 1. And the numbers back him up. According to Next Gen Stats, Membo earned a 94 athleticism score, the highest among all offensive linemen in this year's draft. He's explosive off the line, fluid in space, and has the kind of lateral movement you just don't see in many tackles his size. We're talking about a physical specimen who doesn't just move, he glides. But this isn't just about raw talent. Membo has the intangibles too. And NFL.com's Lance Zierlein described Membo as a player with outstanding potential. And more importantly, a level of football maturity that's unusual for a prospect his age. That's gold in Andy Reid's system. A player who isn't just coachable, but already has the mindset to thrive in a championship caliber culture. Look, let's be realistic. There's a strong chance Membo is gone by the time Kansas City is on the clock. With his athletic profile and ceiling, he could easily be scooped up in the 20s. But if he's still there at 31, you don't hesitate. You don't overthink. You sprint that card up and smile, because Membo solves a problem that's haunted this franchise since Eric Fisher was let go, a long-term answer at left tackle. He doesn't need to be elite on day 1. He just needs to bring competition. If he wins the starting job over Moore, great. If he pushes Moore to elevate his game, that's a win too. Either way, the Chiefs get stronger, Mahomes gets safer, and the offense gets even scarier. Imagine this offensive line. Creed Humphrey at center, Joe Thuney at left guard, Trey Smith anchoring the right, and a physical freak like Membo holding it down on the edge for the next 5+ years. That's a fortress. That's how dynasties stay alive. And let's not forget the ripple effect. Better protection means Mahomes has more time. More time means deeper reads, fewer hurried throws, and more explosive plays. The kind of plays that tilt playoff games, that win Super Bowls. So while the spotlight might be on flashy wideouts or edge rushers with big sack totals, remember this: protecting the kingdom starts up front. If Armand Membo is still on the board at 31, Kansas City doesn't just make the pick, they make a statement. We're now under 2 weeks away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and for some fans, the Kansas City Chiefs' first-round decision already feels like it's written in stone. But in Kansas City, we know better. There's always another layer, another possibility, another calculated move from Brett Veach waiting to shake up the board. That said, if you've been following the tea leaves this offseason, and especially the avalanche of mock drafts, one name keeps surfacing when it comes to the Chiefs. Pick at number 31, Josh Simmons. And honestly, that might be the smartest, cleanest pick this franchise could make. Yes, defensive line reinforcements like Derek Harmon have been floated as options. And sure, there's always that one rogue mock draft that puts a running back or a wide receiver in Kansas City's lap. But let's not kid ourselves. The loudest, most consistent drumbeat this offseason has been about one thing: protecting Patrick Mahomes. You don't need a film study degree to understand why. Mahomes was sacked 47 times last season, including playoffs, the most he's ever endured in a single campaign. For a generational talent, that number is unacceptable. It's a red flag waving from the top of Arrowhead. And the solution starts on the blind side. NFL.com's Adam Rank gets it. In his latest What Teams Should Do mock draft, he doesn't overthink it. He puts Simmons in red and gold. Chiefs, you need to get tougher in the trenches. Rank writes, yes, you signed Jalen Moore, but he's just one relatively unproven addition. I know Simmons is coming off a season-ending knee injury, but as long as everything checks out, draft my guy Josh here and put him at left tackle, and you won't have to think about it for another decade. A decade, that's the kind of long-term vision Kansas City needs right now. Let's talk facts. Jalen Moore was brought in to compete, and while he's flashed potential in limited reps, the reality is he only has 12 career starts in 4 NFL seasons. That's not the resume of someone you build an elite O-line around. He might win the job short term, sure, but the Chiefs can't afford to base Mahomes' protection on hope. That's where Simmons comes in, despite the injury concerns. And yes, they're valid. Simmons has the frame, the feet, and the fire to be a long-term starter on the edge. He's a tone setter, a mauler, a lineman who finishes plays, not just survives them. When healthy, he brings the kind of edge Kansas City has missed at left tackle since the Eric Fisher era. And the signs are there that the Chiefs are doing their homework. Of the 18 players brought in for official top 30 visits this year, 8 were offensive linemen. That's not coincidence. That's a strategy. Veach and Andy Reid know that the clock is ticking on their current line setup. While Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are cornerstones, the tackle spots, especially on the left, remain question marks. Drafting Simmons is the clearest path to fixing that. And more importantly, it shows Mahomes that this organization continues to invest in him, in his safety, his longevity, his legacy. Because let's be real, Mahomes can make magic with anyone. He's won rings throwing to practice squad receivers and scrambling out of collapsing pockets. But even a magician needs time to pull off the trick. Give him a wall, not a window. Give him Simmons and you're building that wall brick by brick. So is this pick a lock? Not exactly. Injuries make every draft pick a gamble. And there's always the possibility that Simmons is off the board before KC picks. But if he's there, and if the medicals check out, then this isn't just a smart pick. It's a must. And if the Chiefs do pull the trigger, we won't have to worry about the left tackle position for the next 10 years. Let's rewind to 2017, a night that changed NFL history. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't just draft Patrick Mahomes. They believed in him when almost nobody else did. They didn't sit back and wait. They didn't hope he would fall. They moved up from number 27 all the way to number 10 because they knew. Brett Veach and Andy Reid saw the future before anyone else could even recognize the present. And while most of the league blinked, the Chiefs built a dynasty. It wasn't obvious at the time. In fact, many ridiculed the move. Mahomes was raw, reckless, and a little wild coming out of Texas Tech. He didn't win big games in college. He had a baseball release. His footwork was off. And yet Kansas City saw through all of that. They saw something bigger, a talent that couldn't be taught, a ceiling that no one had even dared to dream of. Fast forward 7 years, and what do we have? 3 Super Bowl rings, 6 straight AFC Championship appearances, the face of the NFL. Quarterback who was just getting started. Mahomes didn't just meet expectations. He shattered them. And now, as we sit just days away from the 2025 NFL Draft, the rest of the league is doing what they always do after missing a generational player. They're chasing shadows. Enter Cam Ward. The former Miami quarterback has rocketed up draft boards and is now viewed as the likely number 1 overall pick. Why? Because teams are watching the tape and seeing flashes of Mahomes, the way Ward changes arm angles, the way he throws off platform, the improvisation, the play extension, the swagger. Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp said it best on First Take. For a quarterback to be successful now, he has to change arm angle, stay off balance. You throw the ball 35 times. The likelihood of you doing that from 20 clean pockets is not very good. He's right. The NFL has changed. And Mahomes is the reason why. Sharp continued. Some of the throws Cam Ward is making, that kind of reminds me of Patrick. But Patrick didn't even look like Patrick. The Patrick at Texas Tech, and to see what he's been able to do. He gets away with things because of his supremely gifted arm. That's the key. Mahomes redefined what greatness at the quarterback position looks like. Now everyone, from front offices to coaches to analysts, is trying to replicate it. But here's the uncomfortable truth for the rest of the league. There is no next Mahomes. Yes, Ward might have the tools. He might be a top-tier prospect. He might have the attitude, the build, and the arm strength. But Mahomes isn't just physical talent. He's football IQ, poise, leadership, competitiveness, humility, creativity, and a nuclear-powered work ethic. All in one package. It's not just that Mahomes can make the throw. It's that he knows when to make it, how to break a defense's will, how to elevate the 53rd man on the roster, how to stay calm in a Super Bowl down 10 in the fourth quarter. That's not in a scouting report. That's not teachable. That's Mahomes. And that's why Kansas City isn't losing sleep over the quarterback class of 2025. We already have the blueprint and the original. While teams at the top of the draft are pinning their hopes on the next Mahomes, the Chiefs are focused on building around the one they already have. On reloading, on protecting him, on putting more weapons in his hands. Because with number 15 under center, we're never rebuilding. We're reloading. Cam Ward might become a star. He might be great. He might even win a ring someday. But let's make one thing perfectly clear. Patrick Mahomes changed the game, and he's not done yet. Every year, the NFL draft promises surprises. But when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, most analysts seem to think the team will play it safe. Offensive line, defensive help, maybe a wide receiver if one slides. But what if, just what if the team made a move that no one sees coming? With the 31st overall pick, what if the Kansas City Chiefs drafted a running back? Sounds crazy, right? It does at first. But according to Pro Football Focus Dalton Wasserman, that might be exactly the kind of left turn Brett Veach and Andy Reid could take. In his mock draft featuring surprise picks for each NFL team, Wasserman has the Chiefs selecting Trevayon Henderson, the explosive back from Ohio State. Chiefs running backs ranked 30th in yards per carry and 31st in explosive runs last season, including the playoffs, Wasserman wrote. And while Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt provide toughness and physicality, Ohio State's Trevayon Henderson could inject much-needed explosiveness and pass-catching ability into the backfield. Now let's unpack this. Yes, on paper, Kansas City seems crowded in the backfield. Pacheco is a warrior, a 7th-round pick who runs with the fury of a first-rounder. Kareem Hunt, in his second stint with the franchise, brings grit and red zone reliability. And Elijah Mitchell, if healthy, gives you rotational depth. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. None of them bring what Henderson does. Speed, burst, home run threat ability. Trevayon Henderson isn't just another body in the backfield. He's an explosive playmaker. The kind of player who can take a routine check down and turn it into 50 yards before the defense knows what happened. And that's the kind of dimension Kansas City's backfield hasn't consistently had since Jamal Charles. Let's face the numbers, as dominant as the Chiefs have been, the running game hasn't exactly kept opposing coordinators up at night. Last season, the team's running backs struggled to break off big plays. Kansas City ranked near the bottom of the league in yards per carry and explosive runs. That's not ideal when teams are selling out to stop Mahomes. So what does Henderson bring? In 2024 with Ohio State, Henderson posted 1,016 rushing yards on just 144 carries, an impressive 7.1 yards per carry average. He's already proven he can carry a heavy load, and he did it in one of the most competitive conferences in college football. He's quick to the edge, elusive in space, and he's a legitimate receiving threat out of the backfield, something the Chiefs have missed since Prime McKinnon. According to NFL.com's Lance Zierlein, Henderson is currently projected as a 2nd-round pick. But don't let that projection fool you. In a weaker RB class, a team looking for versatility, youth, and upside might jump early, especially if they know he won't make it past the early 40s. Would the Chiefs really pull the trigger at 31? Let's be clear, it would go against most mock drafts and the fan expectations. But this is Kansas City. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round of 2020 when the roster was stacked. They traded up for Mecole Hardman when they needed a new vertical threat. This team doesn't follow scripts. They write them. And the logic is there. You're talking about a low-cost, high-ceiling player who fits seamlessly into Reed's offensive philosophy. Imagine motioning Henderson into the slot, flexing him out wide, or setting him up on screens while the defense is bracing for Kelsey or Rashee Rice. It opens up everything. Plus, from a roster construction standpoint, adding Henderson now gives you future flexibility. Pacheco's running style is electric, but unsustainable long-term without help. Hunt and Mitchell are short-term depth. Henderson could be a 3-down back for years to come, or at worst, a lethal change of pace weapon who makes defenders miss in space. So while the safe pick might still be a tackle or a defensive lineman, don't be shocked if the Chiefs shake things up on draft night. Because when it comes to building a dynasty, sometimes the smartest move is the one no one expects. And if Henderson puts on a red and gold jersey on April 25, it won't just be a surprise. It might be a game changer.